Republican Daniel Gutierrez is challenging Democratic incumbent Raul Grijalva in Arizona's 7th congressional district, which stretches along Arizona's border with Mexico and includes parts of Tucson, Yuma, Nogales, and the Phoenix area. Congressman Grijalva declined to join us for a debate tonight, so earlier today we heard from Daniel Gutierrez. Daniel Gutierrez, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. It's good to have you here. Your district's biggest issue, what is it?
The open borders.
When you say open borders, the border's not really open. There are people down there patrolling the border, and you're supposed to, I mean, there is a way to secure the border to a certain extent. It's not open, is it?
Oh, it's open.
You think it's open? How so?
Oh, I've been down to it in the Tucson sector. It's about 14 miles up, and recently they wound up closing all the sections that were open. There were 8 of them wide open. The Border Patrol drives down. It's 14 miles down to the end of the wall, because the Sassby Port of Entry is closed. The Border Patrol drive up and they pick them up at the end of the wall. They drive them down, they process them, then they take them to 3 points and they load them up on buses, and then they drive them to the migrant camps, the shelters that are around Tucson, and they're huge shelters. But yes, the border is wide open at that point, and there's nobody to patrol it or anything because our Border Patrol are driving back and forth, so people just come across it and they go on the Chilton Range.
I guess my point is that there is an attempt to secure the border. There is an attempt to patrol down there, so it's not like just come on in and anything like that. But as far as immigration is concerned, you talk about securing the border. Define a secure border.
Well, I would finish off where they've stopped building the wall. I would finish it on down further so that people could be directed to the port of entry. And we need to open up the Sassby Port of Entry so that we can process people through it under some kind of surveillance.
Yeah, which is happening now. I mean, people are being processed to a great degree down there.
Oh, yeah, and some are just walking across the border.
Yeah, well, they're not supposed to, and that's obviously that's not supposed to happen. And obviously there is an attempt to secure, I don't want to get too bogged down in that, but your opponent, though, he says a big thing to do would be to get funding to local governments down there for resources. You agree with that?
Well, we're spending $1.4 million a week right now, housing, clothing, and sheltering these individuals. I think what we just need to finish the wall so that deter people from coming here.
So when your opponent says humanitarian services to aid legal asylum seekers, you say don't spend the money?
I say that if there is illegal asylum seekers, which there aren't any in Tucson, because to be a legal asylum seeker, you have to come through a legal port of entry. We don't have one in Tucson. There's not a port of entry at this time. That's why I said we need to open up Sassby so that we do have one.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand, but I don't want to get bogged down on that particular fact. Your opponent recognizes the significant economic impact that immigrants, asylum seekers have on the state and on the country. Is he wrong about that?
To a degree. There are some that help us, and there's a lot that don't help us. I mean, my great-grandfather was an immigrant. He came here and he worked the fields, and his son worked fields, and my dad worked the fields. They became miners and they became productive members of society. There are some of those coming through, and then there's other ones that are coming through just to run drugs across the border, which have been filmed.
Yeah, and you're right. You also have said that it's clear, I think that was your quote, it's clear that illegals, this is a quote, illegals are being brought over to favor Democrats in our elections. Do you really believe that? And if so, how is that clear to you?
I said that?
Yeah, I got that as a quote.
From me?
Yeah.
I don't remember saying
Okay, so
that.
you don't agree with that. Donald Trump wants mass deportations.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
I don't think we need to have mass deportations. I believe in 2010, when the immigrants at that time, they self-deported themselves when we came out with SB 1070. I believe if we just enforce the laws that are already on the books, many of these immigrants will just go home, the ones that aren't here legally.
Now, you only have a certain amount of time here, so I want to get to things like the economy. Why do you think inflation has increased over the past few years, and what would you do about it as a member of Congress?
I would work on re-drilling to bring the fuel prices back down. I would look towards other alternatives. One, I would open up the mines again. I don't want to get deep into that, but in 2080, in 1980, we started closing down the mines and we started building prisons. We need to start closing prisons and opening mines.
You talk about responsible mining practices in southern Arizona. What does that mean?
Recycling our water, reusing our water. Salmon Well used to do that quite a bit back in the 70s. They had a lot of supervision of the mines. People came in and oversaw the mines, and we need to go back to that.
As far as the Trump tax cut in 2017, I know you like tax cuts for small businesses. You're a small business person. Tax cuts all the way around. Is that something you would support on Capitol Hill?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if it means $4.6 trillion added to the U.S. debt, which is what analysts have said, you still support it?
I'm not sure that would do that. I'll give you an example. In 2017, when Trump came out with his tax cuts, I was working for another company. It gave me the confidence I needed. I started Bouthietta's Painting because of those tax cuts. And then I wound up last summer, I employed 67 homeless people from the streets. I brought them to work for me, gave them jobs. They became productive members of society and returned back to.
But the criticism is that many of those tax cuts go to those not opening small businesses, but to those who make a lot of money and to big businesses and to those who are wealthy. How does that square with you?
I believe everyone should be paying their fair share of taxes, and if they're wealthy, they should be paying what they owe. So.
I got to bring up the abortion because that's a major issue. It certainly is an issue in Washington. If you were on Capitol Hill, would you want Congress to do something regarding abortion rights and abortion access?
I think it should remain in the states, to the states. Like Arizona, it's legal in Arizona. And I believe other states will do as Arizona did and implement new laws and vote on them and make it legal in their states.
So you agree with the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade?
Yes.
Because?
I believe it should be handed back to the states and that the states should make a decision on it. And each state should do what they want to do with it. All
right. So and if a neighboring state has something much more strict and another neighboring state has something much more lax, it's okay by you? Congress should not get involved in something like that.
That should not be anything to do with Congress. It should be between the people. Let the people vote on it. Let the people decide.
Last question. I want to talk about climate change because your opponent talks quite a bit about climate change. It needs to be addressed. It's a major issue to him. Is it a major issue to you?
Yes. First off, we need to get through, like the prisons here in Arizona prisons, we employ inmates to go out and clear brush, clear forest, and we should do that. That should be more available to more states. More prisons should provide those kind of jobs.
Okay, those kind of jobs are one thing, but the renewable energy is another. Incentives for renewable energy is yet another. Do you agree with that kind of policy?
Renewable.
Solar, wind, these sorts of
No, I agree with the solar, definitely with the solar. I'm not sure about the wind. There's been a lot of problems with the wind. Solar seems to be very good.
Okay, but the idea is that renewable energy is something that you don't necessarily poo-poo.
No, nope, not against it at all.
Last question is, why are you doing this? I mean, this is a very, very Democratic district, heavily leaning. Your opponent is a long time. He's not going to run again after this election. He's already announced that.
Right.
Why are you doing this?
I'm running because of the division. Now, be honest with you, we have nobody really representing CD7, and I don't mean that disrespectful to Grijalva. The fact is, he only represents a small portion of our CD7. He doesn't even represent all the Democrats. He doesn't represent any of the Republicans. He doesn't represent the independents. And more than 200,000 voters don't even vote in this race and never vote in this race. And you can look at the facts to that. Grijalva gets like 130 to 170,000 votes. The Republicans generally Ruth almost beat him, Ruth McClung, but on the average they get about 100,000 or less, and there's over 200,000 don't even vote.
Right. So you're saying what? I mean, again,
they want a moderate. They want somebody that's not extreme to the left or extreme to the right.
So you're saying his opponents in the past have been too extreme?
Yeah.
and you don't think you're extreme.
No.
Daniel Gutierrez, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time and appreciate you making the trip up here for us. Thank you so much.